Huh? EQ. Correct. Okay, give a clap to everybody. Not bad, huh? Everybody early morning also can ask a lot of questions, can answer a lot of questions. Alright. We want to ensure that this forum becomes interactive. We want you guys to have whatever thoughts that you guys have, we could share. And I was told that today's session is to share with you about internship and going to work. I think all of you be looking forward to going to work. Betul tak? Looking forward tak pergi kerja ni? Looking forward tak? First thing, why you want to go to work? Why? Get money. Okay, so let's see how today's session can benefit all of you. And you guys can earn more and more money. Alright, thank you. Alright, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. So before we begin, right, I just would like to give some definition of EQ and IQ for the benefit of those who are not aware of what it is, okay? So IQ is very standard. We have been hearing it since we are very young, right? We do tests in order to understand how smart we are. There are certain levels of smartness. As for EQ, it's more on the emotions that we have, our mental, our emotion, and how we're displaying it out there, right? And also, very simple example of EQ is basically having empathy, being empathetic when you're working. That's the most basic example. So now, Mr. Joe, let's move on with the questions for the day. Yeah? So IQ is a term that is commonly used. Every one of us know what it stands for. But for EQ, how is it usually developed in an individual, especially for the students who are going to go to work soon?
Okay. It's an interesting question because when we hire staff, especially interns that join us, they come and work as if they are still a student. Okay, but remember, when you go and work in a company as an intern, you have to tell yourself you are also part of the company, you're also an employee. Right? Just to take all of you back into history, okay, IQ was developed. That means we talk about IQ in the 19th century. 1900. People know about IQ already. Okay, so in the year 1900, there were quizzes, there were questionnaires to test your IQ. They want to know who is smarter than the other, who can process information, who knows how to do things in a better way. So that's when IQ was created in the 19th century, 1900. Okay? But what we realized was people with only high IQ, not all of them become successful. Does not mean that you are only smart, you can become successful. Ada yang kurang smart, still can become successful. So why? So does not mean that all of you must graduate with all A's, you can be successful. It's good to have all A's, but there's not only that one element. There's also another element which they call it the EQ. Okay, so EQ was founded when? Anybody know when EQ was founded? Bila the first word of EQ has been introduced? I give you three options: 1950s, 1970s, and 1990s. A, B, or C. Siapa kata A angkat tangan? 1950s. Tak ada. 1970s. 1, 2. 1990s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wah, ini sedang belajar ni. Okay, correct. EQ has been introduced in the 1990s. Okay, it's a very new topic. 1990s, right? What's the next question?
So the next question is we understand why IQ is important because we need to know basically we need to understand what we have been doing on a daily basis. But as for EQ, the context of emotions, why do we speak about it in workplace? Why is it important for employees to actually understand their emotions and how to display when they are in a work environment?
Okay. So I'd like to give more examples so you guys can understand. Today, you guys coming here to attend this forum, is it a compulsory or non-compulsory? Compulsory or non-compulsory? Huh? Compulsory. So compulsory to come. But if it's not compulsory, will you come or not? Yes or no? Siapa kata yes? Not compulsory, I will still come. Tak ada. So if compulsory, you may need to come. How many say yes? Tak ada juga. Okay. So coming back to your answer, if it's an IQ, when you hear it's compulsory, you want to come. Because there is something that you have to make it. It's decision made by somebody else. So you use your intelligence to make the decision. Kena datang. But when it comes to EQ, even though it's not compulsory, you may want to come. Because you want to upgrade yourself to be a better person. Alright? So that is when the new trend, they're talking more about EQ. Okay. EQ involving your feelings. Okay? You're happy, sad, okay, hungry. These are all feelings. Alright? So all of you who take a course, join the course, what you guys need to achieve at the end of the year is for you to graduate. Betul tak? You need to graduate. So you need a lot of EQ to learn to ensure that you can graduate. But if you do not have much of EQ, what will happen? You will graduate, but you may not get the result that you want because you are so stressed. You don't know how to manage your mental health. Okay? EQ is about mental health. Your emotional. How do you manage your emotion? That's why it's called by EQ. Right?
Okay, talking about that, right? So in the recent years, especially during the pandemic and during the endemic, we keep speaking about mental health. So that's a big component of EQ, right? How do you think, as a CEO of a company, has this impacted your employees in any way? How do you think this could? Yeah.
All right. When we talk about EQ, emotion, how you talk depends on your emotion. Betul tak? If you are happy, how do you talk? If you're happy, you talk, you would tahu you are happy. But if you sad, how do you talk? Cakap pun sedih. Maybe your wife also, you cannot talk. Okay? In working life, it's all about communication. Macam mana nak komunikasi. Okay? That's why I see a lot of intern bila dia pergi kerja, okay? A lot of companies boleh buat kerja. Buat kerja kata, oh very stressful lah. Company suruh buat paperwork, suruh buat photostat. Oh, I'm so stressed. You have the IQ, tapi you tak ada the EQ. So you need to tell yourself, if I need to go in photostat, okay, what do you learn about photostat setting? The process of photostat setting, what do you learn? You can learn on how does the machine work. How do you set? So many things that you can learn. Doing photostating is not just putting the paper and press copy. You can select how many copy you want. You can select whether you want to print front or back. You can select on color, not color. Because it's for you to tell yourself, I'm learning something in any situation. That's EQ. But for IQ, saya belajar degree tapi kena buat photostat, tak nak lah. That's IQ. Because you're looking all based on mental. But emotional, you learn, oh, not bad lah. This machine, how the paper go in, how it move, so you know how things work. I'm not asking you to become a photostat technician, but you know. For example, your headphone. Okay, do you see any wire connected to your headphone, to your friend's handphone? Ada tak wire? Tak ada kan? But each time when you call your ibu or your friends, the person really answer. Betul tak? Ada tak mistake? Tak ada. Ada tak? None. So this is something which we need to know. So how does it happen? So that is not only IQ, you need EQ to know how does it work. Right?
Okay, moving on. Why is IQ and EQ both together very important in the work environment?
So all of you guys will be like, that's not you answered. When you work with robots, you need a lot of IQ. When you work with human, you need a lot of EQ. So depending on your work, if your work is more technical, where you're dealing with machines, then you need more of IQ. But if you're working in the office environment, if you're working in the retail, or if you are working anywhere else that involves humans together with you, so what skill do you need? EQ. So IQ tells you how to do it. Okay, you need to know IQ, how to do it first. Then you need your team of people to assist you to do it. That's when you need EQ. Okay. Today the younger generation, including me, younger generation, we don't like to be told. Kita tak nak orang kata, buat ni, buat ni, buat ni. Suka tak? Suka tak? Tak suka. Who can ask you to buat ni, buat ni? Your parents only. Alright? But when you go out work with people, they are not your parents. They are only your friends and colleagues. So does not mean that because you are superior, you can say buat ni, buat ni. Tak boleh. The person will do it because of the work. But he will not do it the best because they don't put any EQ into what they want to do. So when in work, like I said, you need IQ and EQ. Sometimes the way you ask things, we have to ask such a way that people will love to do what we want to do. Okay, we need to know. Right? So how you communicate is very, very important. Right? For example, if you go to work, you see one friend selalu datang kerja lambat. Selalu datang kerja lambat. So is this employee a good employee or bad employee? Siapa kata good? Selalu datang kerja lambat. Who say good? Good employee selalu datang kerja lambat. Who say is a bad employee because dia datang lambat? Angkat tangan. Okay, majority of you say datang lambat is bad employee. But that is based on IQ. Meaning that if you need to come at 9, you must come at 9. If you come at 10, it's wrong, IQ. But if you understand EQ, this person tell you, saya ni kena naik 3 bus datang kerja. 3 bus. And I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and take my bus. And I kena jalan lagi 10 minit to the bus stop from my house. So when you understand, when you have the EQ, then you have to think, actually, dia bangun awal to come to work. But if we can help understand that this person has to go through so much trouble to come to work. So rather than forcing the person to come at 9 o'clock, so what do we do if we have EQ? What do? We say it's okay, you can come to work at 9:30. But you need to stay on half an hour more. Boleh tak? Should the person say boleh? So that is when EQ comes in the work. You need to speak up.
Okay, just adding on to what you say, Mr. Joe, I believe that because the concept of EQ has just come in the recent years, right? In 20 years or so. And therefore, words like empowerment, flexible working hour is coming into action as well. Because we are trying to emphasize that EQ is more important rather than IQ, because IQ anybody can have it, but the EQ factor of it. And that is going on to the next question. What would you advise the students over here? How could they actually develop their EQ skills to be better? IQ is easy, they can just study and make themselves better, but EQ is the number one for us to actually work on.
Okay, good question. Talking to the youngsters, IQ is something that you can get in your fingertips. Because you have Mr. what? Mr. Google. Okay? Last time we don't have Mr. Google. So information is there always. But how to use the information? That's when you need your EQ, right? So when you want to upgrade your EQ, these 4 areas you need to understand. Anybody have your handphone, you can just type. Because these 4 will be important to all of you. You can open your handphone and you can just type. One is your self-awareness. This is to increase your EQ, to menghebatkan your EQ. Okay, first, you need self-awareness, number 1. Okay, what is self-awareness? You need to understand yourself. You need to know what makes you happy, what makes you stressed, what makes you sad, okay, and what motivates you. So you need to do a self-awareness, know yourself first. Number one. Number two, you need to have the self-management. It means since you know yourself, how do you manage yourself? We make right decision when we are high stress or not stress. When do we make right decision? When we are less stress or high stress? Less stress. Because when you're less stress, they say you are more tenang. So tenang, keputusan yang betul boleh dibuat. But if you're high stress, can you buat keputusan? Tak boleh. Maybe your keputusan will be a short-term keputusan. Tak, bukan keputusan yang terbaik. But living the situation, every day is a stress day for you. Betul tak? Every day is a stress day for you. But if you can have stronger mental to manage your stress, you'll be able to be in a less free situation. Okay? Today, I would agree that all of us is living in a stress environment. Betul tak?
Betul.
Why we say we are working in a stress environment? Because things change so fast. Hari ni pakai jalan ni, besok jalan tutup. Dia buat construction. Everything change. Hari ni beli Grab datang 5 minit, besok beli benda sama datang 30 minit lambat. Stress. Because everything is not coming the same pattern. Alright? When you buy a phone also, lepas beli handphone, lepas tahun ada model baru lagi. Wah, stress lagi. Dah lah kumpul duit, tahun-tahun beli satu model, naik lagi model baru. So it's changing. So you will need to manage it yourself. Okay, so kalau kita dah kumpul duit lama-lama, buy one handphone, lepas tahun model baru naik, when you see your whole phone, you kata, oh ini saya beli belum sendiri. So this will become a momentum for you. How you manage your mental. Okay, so number one is self-awareness. Second is self-management. The third is social awareness. Social. Okay. Bila kita keluar dengan kawan, kita pun kena tahu apa kawan kita suka, apa kawan kita tak suka. Okay. Kadang-kadang kawan kita kata, saya tak makan ayam lah, saya tak suka makan ayam. So do you call your friend and say, nak makan KFC tak? Will you do that or not? No, you need to have what we call by social awareness, faham. Okay, then you can increase your EQ. And the last one is your social skill. Macam mana kita bergaul. Okay, because I was told that all of you are what we call by the COVID-19 intake. Kebanyakan bila datang tu online. So now you all boleh jumpa kawan semua, side by side and everything. So social skill is very important. You need to know people. Kadang-kadang kita tengok dalam screen tu nampak orang tu, kita tak tahu dia pendek ke, tinggi ke, lurus ke, tak tahu. Karena nampak muka cerah pasal ada spotlight depan. But when you see natural person, natural. Okay, so this is what we call by social skill that you need to interpret. Okay, social. Kadang-kadang semua happy, kadang-kadang seorang tu sedih, macam mana you boleh tolong dia hadapi sedih. Okay, so that's what we call by social skills. So 4 things, I repeat, self-awareness, understand yourself. Second is self-management, how to manage yourself. Third is social awareness. And last is social skill that you need to upgrade for you to increase your EQ.
It's good. So you guys heard what Mr. Joe said, right? Social skills are very important, especially now that you guys are just coming back to the reality of being in a college environment. So you guys could find ways on how to actually improve it. I have no worries about the other 3 because I think that's pretty doable, but the social skills part. So you know what, you should participate in more of the activities that they are doing for you guys, okay? And also, the next question that I would like to ask you, in your opinion, right, personally as a CEO of a company, which do you think more important, IQ or EQ?
Right. For the newer generation, we always say the EQ comes as a priority. Because IQ you can learn. Today you can go to Google, you can go to YouTube and learn anything. Okay, how to prepare a report, you can learn. How to do a template or poster, you can learn. Walaupun you bukan IT. Today I think all of you will know how to do a video to post on TikTok. You know how to post on Facebook. You don't need to learn about IT. You can learn. Okay? But EQ is all about communication. How do you communicate? Okay? The younger generation, they do not know how to express themselves. You need to learn how to express. I mean, macam mana kita nak communication. Because it's not one way. When you guys are studying, it's one way. Because kalau lecturer kata, satu campur satu jadi dua, apa kita jawab? What you answer? Yes. Satu campur satu jadi dua. Because the lecturer is teaching you. You don't ask much question. But you may argue on a certain idea. But when you start to work, you need to know why I need to do this. Not asking your supervisor, but you must ask yourself, what can I learn from what I do? What can I benefit what I do? Then you can explain to your manager. Saya dah habis kerja ni, ini saya dah belajar. Apa lagi yang saya perlu improve on my side? Communication. Okay. Next time, sometimes when you go out working, some of your manager will feel that saya nak ajar kamu semua, so you guys can learn to become better. Tapi kamu fikir, kenapa manager ni suruh saya buat banyak benda lah? Kawan saya buat 2 task, saya buat 5 task. Kenapa? So you become very stressed. But if you have EQ, you can tell yourself, maybe my manager feel that I'm capable. I have the skill to complete 5 tasks. So she let me do 5 tasks. Mungkin my colleague tu tak capable, dia bagi 2 tasks. You can do it. So sometimes you can ask your manager, saya rasa you give me 5 tasks, is it because you feel my capability, I can do better? Because if yes, maybe you can give me more in future. But we cannot be negative. Kita boleh kata, kenapa bagi saya 5, kawan saya 2. Habis, saya kena buat 5. So sometimes, other people see your capability. They may give you the chance to explore your capability, and you have to receive it in a very positive way. So EQ is very, very, I would say, a priority when you guys go out and work. Okay? And especially for intern, when you keluar. First thing, what do you do when you all masuk office? First day bila masuk office. What you all do? What you all do? Huh? We have another mic for the thing. Tak ada. Tak ada. What do you do when you first day pergi intern dekat office? Buat apa? Tak dengar. Induction. Okay, that one induction company buat, bukan you buat. So when you go in first day in the work, what you need to do is you need to introduce yourself to everybody in the company. Pergi jumpa seorang-seorang, hello, saya ni, saya Joe, apa khabar, saya Joe, apa khabar, saya first day intern kat sini. Puan buat bahagian mana? Oh, finance, so kenal. So the company will know we are what? We take the initiative to know everybody, and everybody knows that we exist in the company. Introduce yourself, alright? And then talk to them, know them better. Berapa lama dah kerja company ni? Oh, 10 tahun. Berapa dah lama kerja? Oh, 2 tahun. So you know everybody. That's what you call by the social skill that you know. Lunchtime kita boleh makan mana? Sedap kat sini. You ask. Maybe your colleague say, nanti kita boleh pergi lunch. So you ada kawan. But if you go out and don't talk to anybody, only on your desk, and write text. Mak, hari ni okey mak. Sekali lunchtime tak tahu nak pergi mana mak, saya grab lah. You need to communicate. So your friend will bring you. So that's how you build your social skill. Okay? You need to promote yourself when you are doing internship. Right?
Okay. So the last question for the day, do you mind sharing with fresh graduates or also the students who are going off for their intern, how they could actually embark their journey when they're going in, like some of the examples that you are given, to actually engage their IQ and EQ instead of taking everything too hard, instead of taking everything too lightly? What is the best way of doing it?
I always advise when you study, like now you guys are studying Maksa, you have your lecturers, you have your tutors, you have your mentor. They are the senior people that you want to communicate and ask. Saya kerja dekat sini, this, what do you think? Because they have the experience to guide you. Okay, so on one way is to get the right guidance from the right people. If we have the wrong guidance from the wrong people, problem. Okay, so you tell your friend, hello, macam mana kerja kat sana? Oh, sini best lah, tak payah buat apa-apa. Alamak, saya kat sini kena buat banyak kerja. Tak apa, saya resign dari kerja tempat you. Tak payah buat apa-apa. No, you need to get the right advice. Okay, maybe you can call your lecturer and ask, I'm working for this company, saya kena buat macam ni. Is it correct? Is it correct? Betul tak saya buat macam ni? Besok saya nak buat presentation, boleh tak? View saya punya presentation, saya nak present, boleh tak? So you have a mentor who supports you to run. Okay? And to all of you, internship is a door opener. It's easier to get a job in a company as an intern rather than applying for a job. Okay? Because nak apply on a job, semua orang pun nak apply. Betul tak? Orang yang dah kerja 5 tahun boleh tak apply jadi intern? Tak boleh. Those who just grad can apply for intern. Okay? And you guys are given the opportunity to be in the company. And the company will judge you while you do your internship. How is this person? Can the person fit the culture lah? Not skill lah, because skill I boleh cari banyak orang. That's when IQ. But can the person fit? Semua orang dalam company suka tak intern ni? Semua orang dalam company sayang tak intern ni? Okay? Semua orang dalam company ni rasa intern ni boleh tak grow together with the company? Kalau boleh, then once you graduate, if you want to apply a job for that company, the company will surely offer you. Okay? So based on your age, I would say 20 to 30. That's when the age you need to learn more, belajar. Yes, money is important, but secondary, belajar dulu. Kalau company tu bagi peluang buat banyak benda, it's good, you can do more things. Okay. Then lepas 30, then you may be able to look for other places that can give you better salary. Okay. At times we see sebagai company, some intern buat kerja setahun aja, then dia nak cari kerja baru, nak gaji lebih tinggi. The company will hire you if they are desperate to hire you, but they put high expectation on you. While you want to work for a company who wants to groom you, grow you, and make you a part of the company. So it's good to stay longer in the company to know. But if the company's culture is not suitable, then you have to, make a decision. But of course, you have to ask your mentor. Well, saya kerja company ni, saya selalu kena marah. Kenapa? Then the culture may not be right. As I said, some company also they go on IQ. Okay? You must know whether the company is encouraging you more ataupun tiap hari pergi marah saja. Bos marah saja. Now there's no such term as bos marah. Okay? Bos boleh tegur, boleh advise, which they want you to be a better person. Okay? So that's what you need to know. There's different marah dengan tegur, lain tau. Sometimes you may do something not correct, you need to ask. Bos saya buat benda ni, boleh tak saya improve? Boleh tak saya better? Alright? Okay? I think I have answered your question.
Thank you very much. That was actually a very excellent answer, and I hope the students who are going off for your internship, either next semester or in the following semester, to take his advice on it. For now, I would like to open the floor to Q&A session. Is there any questions that you would like to ask? Anyone?
Yes, ni intern pelajar baru Ni nak graduate juga bulan depan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you to Mr. Joe. Very interesting topic I've learned today. So, lump sum of my question, I have 3. Okay, question number 1. When you talk about IQ and EQ, we should focus towards more on EQ. But from my experience as well as through my teaching experience and my readings, my observation, you can see nowadays in our aggressive environment, some companies, they are more looking on IQ. The higher IQ you have, the better prospect and a good person in the company. But how this affect the EQ of a person? If you are more towards on the IQ, means you have to be more on achievement-oriented, goal-oriented, and whatnot. Number 2, we can see that nowadays, especially youngsters, not only students, youngsters, or some people, like you said, one of the elements of the EQ is self-awareness. But we can see that some of us, some people, they love to keep it to themselves and then they do self-harm. So how we can help to overcome this, like you said, not only in terms of giving advice, but other than that. And my third question, how do you think that too much on EQ also danger? All right? For example, you've been bullied, you've been harassed, mentally tortured, and everything. So how this can affect your well-being of an employee and also students? Thank you.
Right, interesting question. Ini orang experience. Okay, first we have to acknowledge that every company will be looking for IQ first because that fits your job. But as we hire candidates, they will come from their schools. I mean, when I first graduated, you only have a handful of universities. And now you have colleges, you have international school, you have so many things. Okay, meaning that the institution prepared the student in a high level of that skill already. In fact, for us also when we hire students, we feel that when the students come in, whether they are intern or whether they are fresh grads, they already have the IQ. Maybe they dah tahu pakaran what they have studied. This is when the lecturers have done a very good job in teaching them overall on the topic, on the presentation, that kind of thing. So for industries now, when we hire, we know that IQ is already there. Okay, but some companies, they are looking into who's the brightest, which at this moment they are feeling the pinch. Because today in the industry, the most challenge that we are facing for manpower is retention of employees. I think you will agree. Retention of employees is very hard. Because my IQ is very high, a lot of people will want me. I will just go. All right? So companies are also balancing up. I may find somebody who has very high IQ, which they are, but I need to know also EQ. That means what is their vision or why they want to grow with us. Okay? So this is the balance where now as industries, we also understand thinking how to retain our good employees. Okay? How do we want them to continue to grow with us? That's why as a leader of the company, we need to always improve, introduce new things, improve. Like your lecturers also. Always the way that they teach you will be different. They want to be advanced. So for company, they need to evolve to have advanced, to retain talented people. Okay? So that is, I think, hopefully answers question number one. So question number two is about apa lagi ya? Tadi lupa. So you're talking about EQ. Okay. I know your third question about bullying, that kind of thing. Sometimes when you work, okay, when you are too nice, people will ask you to do more things. Betul tak? Masa kita rajin, orang suruh kita buat banyak. Okay. But if we have the right EQ, as I mentioned, EQ is about communication. You need to share and explain. Okay, the one that I do, I can do it, but I need more time. Because as I mentioned earlier, I'm an engineer. What increased stress is a formula logo of T. Okay, which is time. Okay, katalah raya tahun depan, now you beli baju raya. Ada stress tak beli baju raya sekarang untuk tahun depan? Ada stress tak? Tak ada stress because the T becomes very long. Tapi kalau raya besok, hari ni beli baju raya stress tak? Stress. Because when the T becomes small, your stress goes up higher. When the T becomes long, it's okay. Alright? So you need to manage. So each time when you are given a task to do, you need to know yourself. You need to use your own IQ to know how long you need to complete this task. Kalau task tu perlukan 3 hari, then you need to use your EQ to talk to your manager. Boss, saya nak tanya ini urgent tak bos? Because based on whatever that I have, I could give it to you in the 3rd day. Boleh tak? So bos kata, tak boleh, saya nak besok lah. Then he said, boss, kalau nak besok, a few tasks that I need to complete, can I this task do later, but your task I do now. Boleh tak, boss? Yang boss cakap, okay. Yang ni semua tak tepi, buat apa yang kita suruh buat sekarang. So you can manage your work. Okay. But if your boss said, saya tak peduli, semua kena buat hari ni juga. Okay, that's when you have to really understand. Is it what is being requested is out that you cannot handle? Then you have to be honest with your boss. Boss, I think kalau boss nak saya buat yang terbaik, memang by today I will not be able to do it, boss. You need to talk. Does not mean that if you cannot deliver, you're no good. No. Okay, but you know I would say your self-awareness first, and then you do your self-management. Talk. Okay, like I said, not every employee is not good enough, but sometimes they are management, they are managers who also do not have much EQ. When they are more on the IQ side. Alright, so this is something that we need to balance. Especially now if you work for a company where the boss is already like 50 plus, 60 plus, they are more of IQ. But the younger generation, like what we said just now, flexi time, they are more into EQ. But it's for you to choose which one you like the most. Okay. I have a son, my son is 15 years old. He said, I don't like to talk to people. So when he don't like to talk to people, means his EQ may not be very high. Okay, so we need to know how to balance up. Some people memang dia malu, some people dia memang susah nak cakap dengan orang. Buka mulut pun dia segan. You cannot change, but you can change yourself with what you want. Some people like to talk a lot. My daughter, when she was in kindergarten, the teacher will call me and say, Mr. Joe, your daughter ni dia suka cakap banyak lah. Dia punya kerja habis, dia cakap dengan semua dia punya kawan. So macam mana? If you use IQ, you will scold her. But if you use EQ, you tell the teacher, tak apa, orang buat satu exercise, bagi anak saya 2 exercise. So dia pun lebih masa nak buat. This kind of thing. Okay? Any more question? Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the floor?
Kalau tak ada, saya akan tanya one by one. Because they say, sampai pukul 12, so kita ada 15 minit. So it's either 3 person ask question or we ask everybody to ask one question. Boleh tak? Yang mana nak? 3 ke semua? Semua? Semua okey? Atau 3 je? Ha? Okey, kita buat 6. 3. Yes.
Morning. How can student balance IQ and EQ?
Okay, good question. Okay, how do you balance IQ and EQ? As what I shared, there are 4 points of EQ. One is your self-awareness. You need to know yourself first. What is your kelemahan and what is your strength? Some people cakap sikit dah menangis. Betul tak? Cakap sikit dah menangis. Okay? Some people cakap tak boleh masuk. So you need to manage yourself first. Alright? Second is, how do you manage this? Dia menangis berapa dia emotional. Some people they are very emotional. Tak salah, but they are very emotional. Okay, so you need to manage that. Alright. So as I said, EQ is something which the 4 skills that you need to do. First, you need to self-awareness. Tanya dulu sendiri. Have to know. Okay, then you can update your EQ because there's not a time where okay sekarang birthday saya 21 tahun saya kena ada EQ. Tak ada. EQ starts from small. Okay, sometimes when you're small also, you have EQ. Right? So I think that answers my question. Next question, ada sini pula. So 3 from here, then kita boleh go live. Ada? No more question? Okay. So tak ada question lah. It's okay, I'll be here. So if you want malu nak cakap, then you can speak up.
Yeah, Mr. Joe actually has the move over there. So if you have any questions, you don't want to ask him now, you could always approach him after this, okay? And Mr. Joe, thank you very much for the session today. It was a great one. I hope all of you actually learned more about your EQ as well, a little bit on your IQ part of it. And we appreciate you spending your time and also commitment to be here during our open day. And maybe one day we will collaborate further to talk more on this topic, because this is a never-ending topic and it's going to evolve as time goes by, right? And then thank you again.
Thank you, Maksa, for the invitation. Thank you for all of you for your time. So we hope that all will be success. Thank you.